Hi, I'm here with Dace Spar. Is it Spare or Spar? Spare?
Spare.
Spara? Okay, well, we'll
Spare,
start
yeah.
Spara. Okay, I'll start from scratch then. Hi, I'm here with Dace Spara, and this is part of the crossing point. Conversations about how people move from survival into something more real and more powerful in their lives. So, Dace, tell me a bit about yourself and what you're focused on these days.
Hmm. What exactly do you want to know about me?
Well, we're here in
Um,
the inner growth pillar. I mean, anything is fine, but with obviously the vision towards conscious creation, what times in your life when things were survival and what got you through. So, you might talk about some of the areas that you're interested in, the value you're getting from things now, whatever makes sense for you.
yeah, single mom currently, but my daughter's almost adult already. Uh, wasn't single before, was married, and it was total disaster. So I think my turning point or crossing point was to realize that I can survive alone and move out and leave the country and come back to my homeland.
Awesome. That sounds
Mm.
powerful. And now, and just for a sense for our viewers to get a sense of who you are, what you're up to, where they might see themselves in you. What's life look like now? What are you doing in your daily life?
Uh, Most of my time I work as a teacher and a tutor of private lessons. I give lessons and work in several schools. And sometimes I do some compassion key sessions.
Great. Okay, well, let's look at the experience of survival. Tell me about a time that things really weren't working for you.
I was living in Germany. I was married to an Arab guy who had several wives. I was one of them. And he didn't respect me and I think didn't love me. And it was always pushing and demanding and controlling. And yeah, it was tough. Um, and I had very little money. I was dependent on social system for some time. Then I wanted to become self-employed. I became self-employed, but the money didn't come in as much as I wanted, and I felt ashamed asking for social help again. So I really tried to manage sometimes against the law, not paying taxes and so on. And yeah, and then when I moved back to my homeland, I could start like being employed. Um,
Okay,
became a
just
teacher. So yeah.
awesome. I love that we're getting a sense of where the story arc is going. And just staying in the survival moment, what was happening in your life? What did the day-to-day look like?
Mm. I sent my daughter to the school in the morning. Then I cried whole day, and when she had to come back from school, most of the time I picked her up. Then I just pulled myself together, stopped crying, and pretend to be a happy mom. And in the and and sometimes in those 3 hours, or when I was alone at home, I tried to work. It didn't work so well because I felt like a disaster myself.
Well, it does sound very difficult and heavy. I'm sorry that that happened.
Oh,
And in that survival period, was there a specific moment where it really hit you? What happened and what were you doing?
um, there was injustice done to my daughter when she visited her relatives in Lebanon. I realized it only later, and I realized that I have to protect my daughter. It can't be done again. And I felt myself like a lion inside. Like if someone is trying to touch my child, I will kill that person. So I think that was the turning point when I said, okay, I do not want this anymore. I have to find a solution to get out of it, out of the situation, because I wasn't allowed to leave Germany, and I had to be very smart because my ex had made it so, according to law, that I could leave, but my daughter would have to stay in Germany. So I had to find a way to get out of that situation. And it took some time, and it so my daughter had to decide for herself as well. She had to grow in order to be able to tell her dad that she wants to leave that country. So yeah,
Okay. Thanks for sharing so powerfully. I appreciate your vulnerability. And thinking about that period when things were challenging and you had noticed the need, things were starting to need to change. What was needed? What would have helped you, and what did people misunderstand about you in that time?
I was hiding how I was actually feeling. Um, there were some people whom I trusted, and I told how that I'm a total mess. I even visited psychotherapist, and the worst thing that I didn't see a solution that they could give me. Um, it was important to have friends who supported me and who accepted me the way I was, even crying hours in front of webcam or when meeting them. And I think important thing was to respect my needs, to begin to respect my needs, that I have needs as well, and not to accept bad attitude and to say, no, this is not going on with me. So I do not allow to treat me like this.
I get that self-respect is obviously, key to many things to being able to take action. That makes sense to me. And I'm curious, when you were in that time, were there people that were trying to help or people that, other than the people that were really, at the heart of the issue, were there stuff that people were trying to do that didn't help? Like, was there stuff that wasn't working? People were doing stuff and it wasn't what you needed in the moment?
I remember one moment that we can still laugh about it with my friend. I was crying and telling her how bad my situation is and that I'm so unhappy. And she always thought that I should divorce. And I could accept it until one moment when I said, "What do you want me to divorce? Do you want my husband for yourself?" And it was like my mind functioned in some so differently than it functions now. So suddenly I couldn't see that she's actually trying to help me. Um, I saw it as a threat. Um, yeah, the answer.
Got it. Okay. Well, looking at things beginning to shift, early moments, what was one specific thing you did differently that started to change things?
I made a decision. I made a decision that I'm going to move back and I'm not waiting till my daughter is 18 when I would legally be allowed to leave the country with my daughter. So I started looking for possibilities. But at the same time, I did a lot at that time, so doing compassion key sessions a lot. I had learned several modalities already, tapping, court of atonement, started learning NPA, and I did all of that. Everything that was possible, that was available. Muscle testing myself, asking for answers to higher forces, all the possible things. And yeah, and I started looking for apartment here in Latvia. And the moment when I realized that I can't find an apartment, and there are some apartments, but they're gone. When I tried to look for them, I didn't want to rent the apartment without seeing it, so I came here, and the apartments that were available, suddenly they were not available, and I just sat and cried, and I talked to higher forces, and I said, please help me. I can't do that alone. And within the next 1 hour, I got two offers, and I took one of them. But I rented my apartment without seeing it.
Okay, so
And
taking
and
action.
and
Go
I
ahead.
accepted help of my friend who borrowed me money because I needed some extra money to move smoothly here, and she borrowed me without deadline, and very very open. She says, so if you won't be able to give it back, so you can work for me, which was very very kind of her.
Gotcha. So making decisions, making choices, and pursuing what you thought was right, regardless, as well as a bunch of different interventions like compassion key and stuff like that. That's great. Thank you for sharing. So, as you're beginning to kind of see the possibility, things are starting to improve a little bit, or at least you're having the energy to start making choices for yourself. Um, Now we're looking at the crossing point, the moment that things really started to shift. Was there a moment when you knew things were going to change, that you weren't going to stay there? What was happening right then?
You mean when I was still there in the old life, or no?
The the moment wherever it was there, it could be the tipping point would be another way to look at it. Just like there was maybe one moment when you just became aware that it was going to work out. It might have been once you got your apartment. It might have been in the transition. I don't know when that was, but just the first glimmer of like, oh, it's possible. I might make it out of this. I might be able to protect my daughter.
But there were several moments when I started realizing this might work. So the first I went to the court, still being in Germany, and I said I do not want my daughter to leave the country with her dad. So dad wasn't allowed to cross the border with my child. And the court accepted that for just 1 year, but I knew that next year, if he would have an idea, I would go to court again. Um, and then um, this was after COVID time, when my daughter has been learning at school for some time, and we found a possibility to register her in Latvian school. And my daughter told to her dad as well. So I thought to convince him that this is what we want to do. I want to register her in Latvian school just so that she does not need to go to German school that she hated. And he thought it's a good idea as well to avoid the system. So that was the first step. And the next one, that she wants to train in basketball in Latvia because she would see more possibilities here. So she convinced him again that she wants to do that, and told as well that if he doesn't allow her to move, then she will hate him and will never talk to him again. So it was pushing, just pushing. And then he accepted. But it wasn't my challenge. So mine was just to support. Like I was talking to my daughter, of course, as well, what she wants. And we were looking together for several possibilities. And she wasn't a child anymore, she was a teenager already. So I think it helped. But before that, yeah, the moment when I went to court and I said, this is not going on. So you are not allowed to take her with yourself, with you again. So I do not accept that. And the law is on my side. Um,
Got it. So it sounds like really supporting your daughter and her also feeling empowered to have those conversations and
mm.
both of you pursuing something a better life, I guess, in some ways. And from that point in seeing yourself transitioning, looking back at how it went, what were what were the key things that actually got you through? I know that you mentioned a few things. Maybe just revisit or explain more fully some of the most impactful things that made a difference for you.
So you mean what happened so that it impacted me?
Yeah,
Or
either things you did or things you found or things that happened.
so for a long time at the beginning of my relation with my husband, married another woman. At first there was just one, the second wife, and I thought she is the guilty one. And then there was a fight between both of us because we didn't want to be one of the wives. We wanted to be the only wives. And then she left with her children. She went back to her family to France. And then very, very quickly, he married another woman without even letting me know. I realized that later when this next wife called me and said, "Hey, I'm his wife." And then I it wasn't maybe immediately, but at one moment I realized it's not about those women, it's about my husband, that he is the guy who marries them. He is not forced to marry. He chooses to marry. And then accidentally we started contacting with the other ex-wife, not really ex-wife. She was still married to him, who had moved to France, and we realized that he had lied to both of us. And like I saw the reality in a different way then. Um, I was still sometimes feeling powerless and destroyed and undervalued and really, really bad and dependent. But somehow I pulled myself out of that place where I was. But, special moment. And there wasn't special, like one special moment. Mm, There are many, many moments when I understood more and more that it's not going to happen. I can't accept lies anymore. But I was still in that field when I was still in Germany. So really, being able to see that life is clear eyes was when I moved here, and um, at first I blocked him so that he can't contact me. And then I didn't have that phone number anymore, so he can't contact me anymore. And I'm starting breathing more freely. And then when I started working at school and I had regular income that I could pay my rent, and then I realized that I can give classes to students, private students, so I had more income. And then I found another school, so I started working for three schools already. I was more and more occupied, and when more money came in, I started feeling free, more freely. I still resolving my debt problem that came from the moment, even before actually disaster that I'm living in, even before that marriage.
Gotcha.
Uh,
So a few different things, and it sounds like really like getting clear on what was true, having these conversations with people where you've discovered that there have been some untruths told, and maybe you believed them, and just kind of getting
mm,
yourself clear on things made a difference. I got that. And you've already spoken to it a little bit, but let's just look a little more closely. As you kind of leave survival, you've already crossed over to a point where you can kind of see that there's a future possibility. What was life like beyond that moment? What's it like now in real ways? Your body, your relationships, your work, how you show up with people.
mm. Well, my colleagues are nice and respectful. I still have friends and making more friends. We are meeting regularly here. That's great, but I'm overloaded because of trying to get out of my debt problem. So I work too much, and that gives a lot of stress. And children at school are not respectful, and therefore I'm still thinking, should I go on with this profession or should I change and look for another job? But I will still try to um, do something for the healing business during the summer holidays, which we have almost 3 months, so I have plenty of time where I will not be overloaded. Yeah, but well, um, I catch myself when I'm back in that victim mentality, and I pull myself more consciously out of it, and do not stay there for too long. So I do not cry like before. So when some new problems are coming, I'm sitting, okay, what can I do here? Nothing. Okay, then never mind. Or if I can do something, then I do. Oh.
Okay, got it. Great. And then continuing as you're rising up out of this survival experience, what's the expansion? What's the future? What's possible in your life that wasn't before?
I show up. I show myself. I tell people what I'm doing. I'm not ashamed of that. But I have more experience as well. Before that, I didn't have so much experience, and I was just been at the beginning, and I wasn't sure myself. Well, I knew that the things what I'm doing are working, but I didn't have experience how much time is going to take. And sometimes I thought, okay, some things can be resolved very, very quickly. And I promised people, customers, that okay, it can be resolved. And when it couldn't, I was still learning from my mistakes. Uh, I don't know if I can always. Well, I think it's not the end yet, so I'm still learning.
Gotcha.
Um,
And I also heard in that, the ability to have customers and to promise them things that occurs like it wasn't there, back.
yeah, well, being a teacher for children who experience problems in math um, has been a very great experience for me because there's a high demand of such teachers. and I finally wanted. They find me without even giving an advertisement, and I think that's a great experience to have. So they chase me, and I do not chase them anymore. Like before, the experience was I was chasing my customers. No, the customers chase me. Okay, I would wish to earn more than I'm earning per hour because it's just that parents can't afford to pay as much as I would want. So I charge over the market value, but it's still not so much as I want. Yeah, but they're still paying. So more than the average, yeah, average price.
So thanks for sharing that. And then just in the final moments of our conversation here, and no rush, certainly take your time answering, but what's made this whole journey worth it?
I think it's just soul's experience, as it were. So I I've had so many nice moments, especially doing the trade work and having those aha moments and remembering things from other incarnations. And well, I have experienced so much that I wouldn't be able without what I've gone through. And it's not the end yet. So
Awesome. Can you give us any specific moments when you really got value based on your experience?
well, I remember many sessions when I came to the session and I was total disaster and my energy low and I didn't know how to move forward and fell back. And then after session, I felt like I'm flying. I was totally happy, energy is released, no pain in my body anymore. So a lot of things and really seeing the light in front of me, like at the end of the tunnel. And then that's very close. Like before it was just black tunnel and then suddenly there's a light and almost reachable. And I know what to do and how to do and have energy for that. So sometimes the problem was that I'm too busy and I know what I want to do and what I need to do, and I don't have time to do that. So this might be the things that I should still resolve. That when I need time, I have it. But now, when I'm too tired, I see that sometimes that my lessons are cancelled at the last moment, and I say, "Oh, thanks God, now I can rest for 1 hour." So even that doesn't destroy me, that but makes me happy. So whatever happens, I accept. Okay, yeah, what's good coming out of it? And there was an experience recently. I took my daughter to the orthodontist, and the price was very high. That the guy said, and I don't have such money now. And I thought to myself, not, oh, what should I do now? I was thinking, okay, yeah, okay, I need so this much. Okay, then I can give advertisement. I can go and talk to these ladies. They can organize me a marketing campaign. I can ask somebody to make web page. I know how to do that, but I don't have time for that, so I should pay for that. So I had exact plan what I can do. How can I resolve this? And not, oh yeah, I'm such a victim. I can't do that because I don't have money. There was a plan immediately. Like it came out of nowhere. I just knew and stayed very calm. Okay, yeah, yeah, a lot, but okay, yeah. And then I got a letter. I still had one debt that wasn't. I hadn't started to pay it back, and the company they have made a mistake. They haven't informed me uh, regularly according to our laws. Actually, I don't. Might be that I don't have to pay the debt back, or I would pay some amount of it because the company who has bought my debt, they haven't paid full amount, so I can cover their costs. But I got a letter from a court that they're going to look at it and they will force me to pay it back. And I was okay, let's do it. Okay, then okay, I will work one more year, very a lot. Maybe I will find a solution this summer, or maybe I will work a lot next year as well. But I know how to resolve it, so okay, just work. Yeah. There's a high demand. New students are coming every year. The ones who are not finishing school, they want to come to me next year. So I will still have a lot of work next year, as much as I want. So I should have worry.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's
Mhm.
very inspiring. Thanks, Dace. And I really appreciate you spending this time today with us. That was real and powerful. And is exactly what the crossing point is about, what it actually looks like to move through something and come out the other side. I really appreciate you sharing this.
You're welcome.